Alright, so we're rounding out the three musketeers of the Majima Construction Side-Game. Probably going to be a bit more after that. There's two more characters that are sort of involved in this side story who we haven't confronted yet. So, I'm assuming one, maybe two more sections. And obviously, kind of saw on the bottom, there's a Sotobri side story thing that we've been unlocking after each boss, which is good too. So it took me a little while to get really a good hold on everything here. Like, it took me longer than I should have to notice I forget what it's called. It's not displayed right now, but you press Y. I think it's to like motivate your team members. And then it also took me forever to realize you can press B to select the closest unit to your cursor, because I was using LB and RB to do that, which didn't work very well. So what I've been doing is I've been setting up a general formation, and then I'll just move Sayama with whatever group I feel like needs help. And then I'll only really use abilities during boss fights. Aside from that, I have also equipped this guy from the main story. Our only gold unit here. The main reason I did that was because I realized I wasn't really paying attention to character type. As you can see, he has a gun. We've got sword, shield, I think sword. I think that's all of them. But we only had one gun, which was the most underrepresented one. So I figured for that last roll where we were going back and forth with Majima and Kiyu, I would add a gun wielder. We had a couple more options from the police force, but I think this guy seems pretty interesting. I'm not really sure. He's plotting something in the story. I'm not really sure what. I'm really excited to find out. He's here already? How many rounds is this? This is 10. Wow. He must come a couple times. I guess I don't have to worry too much, because everyone up there hasn't really taken any damage yet. Definitely going to equip all of our abilities, though. But I meant in terms of healing and whatnot. Because, yeah, it was definitely a lot more difficult when I wasn't doing some of that other stuff. Luckily, when I equip all the skills, they seem to be able to really quickly take out the bosses. But then you have a time frame before you can use it again. And then I think it's also tied to gold, which is also the same for the recovery things, too, I believe. So since I figured all of that out, I've only lost. I think I lost because I wasn't paying close enough attention. The guy I've selected right now, I don't remember his name. Seijima, I think. Him. But, yeah, I haven't really used Sayama as that much here. It's mainly been this bottom group that's been battling. This group just had that one boss. I don't know, I will admit this mode, I feel like kind of goes on longer than I would sort of expect or want. Like 10, 12 rounds is quite a bit. But, I mean, maybe that's my own fault for making it as easy as possible. But I guess it sort of evens out with, like, the cabaret minigame. Because in that, where it was shorter to do the minigame itself, but then you had those in-between sections with the training and such, which you don't have here. Which I kind of liked it a little better just because it kept things more fresh and was a little less grindy, but what are you going to do? Ooh, recovery items. Who needs it? Wait, I hear the boss music. I wasn't paying close enough attention. Where's the boss? Okay. Right by... Oh, him. That's not good. Our weakest unit by far. Definitely want Sam to come and I'll have her heal up. Definitely want her to come and support right here. Alright. Everyone's still at decent health except Seijima. But yeah, that's one of the best parts, I think, about the Yakuza series, is just how there's so much to do and they do such a good job of balancing it. Like, obviously, I feel like some of the side stuff isn't, like, super in-depth or crazy, but it's all good enough and fun into, just go around doing what you want to do. And, just keeping things fresh is really fun. It was something. So I played through the Majima Saga. Because the Majima Saga didn't have that. It was all the combat. And especially with the combat system they have in this game. I don't know. I think the ending and some of the storylines, one character in particular, were pretty good. But I wouldn't go through and do what I did and try to as close to 100% it as you can and doing all the street bosses. That's just not... It just got kind of tedious and boring, and there wasn't any incentive to really do any side games or anything, and none of the side missions were really... I don't think there was any. But as I mentioned, so people up here? Okay, yeah. Didn't know what was going on, but as I was mentioning, though, I feel like the combat system in this game, it's a new combat system. I think it's also in 6. And probably the spin-off since 6. I know they kind of changed around the overall gameplay formula after 6. But it's like one of the things I really liked with the other games I played so far is I liked going around. It's just being able to switch around between a couple different fighting styles on the fly based on the situation or just sort of how you felt like playing at the time. That doesn't exist here. It's all one style. And that takes away from it, I think, a bit. I also feel like some of that, like, I don't know, maybe this is just something I didn't notice before. But I just feel like some of the animations in that for the items you can pick up in that, I feel like they were more unique last time around. Like, I feel like I'm just noticing, maybe it's just because I don't have several styles I'm moving between, but I'm, like I said, this time noticing, all of these large items have to have the same animation if you use a heat action with them in that. And then what's even worse about the Majima Saga is you don't even have access to the weapons to even keep that part of things refreshed. So yeah, last section. Gonna raise everyone's whatever you call it. I think you can raise it up to 5, I've seen. But yeah, with Majima, you just have the standard moveset and heat actions, and that was it. No upgrade system to fuck around with either. Like, I don't know. I guess it's kind of what you would expect for a little bonus side content. I didn't even realize at first that it wasn't something that didn't already exist, that it was sort of a bonus for the remake. I thought it was something that existed before and may have been a little more in depth, like how Majima was implemented in 0, where, at least when I saw it was his own story section, I thought at least a lighter version of that, That's just not the way it played out. Alright, so it looks like they are grouping the last 2 together for the final fight. What I am wondering, though, is we're only up to, what, 4 out of 8 star difficulty? I guess it's just going to remain 4 and 5, and then we're going to skip 6 and 7, the last one's 8. Or maybe it has to do with my game difficulty, and it just doesn't scale or go up that high. I don't know. Actually, that last musketeer, I think I'm willing to maybe switch out this guy for a musketeer if he has the weapon I'm looking for. I don't think any of them have yet, though. Oh, okay, there he is. Yeah, no. One other thing that doesn't really help with this mode either is how the map layout is the same each time. And I kind of get that. It's a lot easier to do it that way. Or I should say each time in each chapter. Obviously the waves are different, but I don't know. I wish they at least changed around some of the walls or maybe where construction equipment is. I'm wondering how this one's going to work. This one's kind of interesting, the little back and forth they have them going. I thought I saw that they could break walls, but I haven't seen it a lot. I'm thinking it's maybe certain units can do it. But as I was saying, and I know I've kind of complained a bit about this game, it is definitely my least favorite of the Yakuza games I've played so far. But I will say, like a slightly less than, like, I don't know the right way to put it, a slightly below average Yakuza game is still like a 9 out of 10. It's still pretty good, pretty fun. Another few minor things, though. I'm really critical. I mean, I guess it shows I like the series, though. I want to see the best for it. But a few minor things is when there's no intro when you boot up the game, which is really a shame because Kiwami and Yakuza 0 had really great intros that got you really in the mood to dive into the game and the world that they had. Another thing, too, is that in the main menu, there's a thing to watch cutscenes from the game, and there was a way to quickly watch all of them, which you can skip. That way you can get rid of the notification that you have all these new cutscenes that you already saw if you played through the story. I can't find a way to do that in this one for some reason, so I still have those annoying notifications, which sort of bug the little bit of OCD I have in me. So, I don't know, I wish there was a way to, quickly be like, yeah, I watched everything, or to, just do it the way I've been doing it. Also, this is the first game I'm a real Yakuza and using a gamepad. Last time around, I mean, I use keyboard and mouse unless it's inconvenient, and I felt it worked good enough in the last couple. But in this one, I forget what the exact issue was. I think I was having a hard time having it let me customize controls the way I wanted. So I finally moved to a gamepad, which once again, I don't like being forced to do that, I guess, which is kind of what it felt like a little bit, but I mean, the game honestly probably does play a little bit better with it. I don't know. Maybe that's sort of internally since they promote it for whatever reason. Last major thing I want to complain about is I don't like... Well, actually, another thing I thought of, too, is how I mentioned it would be nice if you can mark what you viewed and what you haven't for the cutscenes. I wish for some of the side content there was way easier ways to do that rather than going to your completion list, or like in the video store we can learn some new combat styles and stuff. Like, I don't know what I've watched and what I haven't, unless I keep track somewhere of what I've earned since the last time I made sure I watched everything. But heck, they're all down here this time. There's some up there too, but I don't know, I feel like it's more of the actions down here. But the other thing too is the map. Like, one of the best things I thought with the series was just sort of walking around and finding a bunch of random shit, just side stories, side activities and stuff. And now they mark the side content on the map, particularly the side stories, which I don't like because it's not something I can ignore. It's not something I've been able to find a toggle for. If they show them, I'm going to go and do them as soon as possible, but it kind of got rid of some of that sort of surprise and intrigue of exploring around the world, which is a shame, but I mean, I do almost wish in the older games that there was a way to toggle the side missions, maybe if you complete the story or at a certain point when you're sure you're, not going to find the ones you're missing. Because I certainly, after a certain point, decide to look them up. But I don't know, it was like too much. I at least found another way to sort of keep exploration sort of going a little bit. Something I've never done is try to complete the bars and restaurants, and that's something I have gone to do this time. It's gone decently well, more fun than I would have expected to try to manage your hunger levels in between missions and that, and where you need to go to complete the completion list and whatnot. I guess on a positive note, I guess the game looks better. It might function a bit smoother than it used to. It just feels like you took a lot of steps back, though, for that step up. And I was sort of looking forward to when this engine sort of reached where the other one did. Maybe they fine-tune a few other of the minor things that I mentioned, decisions I didn't necessarily agree with. They changed up the gameplay style entirely, which I don't know how to feel about. I haven't picked up Yakuza 6 yet. Or I'm not 6, Like a Dragon 7. I'm just on the fence. I really like the gameplay, and I'm not as much into that sort of style of game that they've made 7, but I really like the story and the tone and some of that stuff, so I'll probably eventually give it a chance. I'll probably wait. I know it's kind of funny because I mentioned getting the DLC here to support the devs, but then here I'm hesitant to get 7. I'm also hesitant to get Judgment and Inshin just because I actually really want to play Inshin. Inshin looks like really fun and creative, but Judgment, I know it's probably the style I like more, but I just don't know. I'm just not close to being there yet. I want to finish the games I have and Inshin before I get there. And I'm just not anywhere close, And I don't know if at that point I would be a little fatigued or whatever. And then Inshin, like I said, it's just... I'm completing this. I'm probably going to take a break. Maybe I'll go there. Maybe I'll go to 3. I've heard mixed things about 3 from what I've seen. So, I don't know. It's like I said, 0 and Kiwami are really good. Very good place to start. I do wonder if 3 being earlier is going to be a bit of a step back too, and we're going to have to wait till 4 or 5 to get back to where I was before. Should be kind of a shame, but kind of expected at the same time, especially when you start with the cream of the crop. But oh yikes, this is where you got to be a little worried about how we've been using our abilities. Where's Sam? There we go. Now we have all of them equipped. We should be good to go now. So I don't know, maybe Inshin will be a little closer to what I want, but I know it's built off this engine, so I don't know how far they've come. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like waiting while they're sort of newer and a little more expensive. Especially because it's kind of weird, because I feel like the ones I would have probably paid the most money for were the ones I wound up paying the least amount of money for. So it's kind of, in a way, hard to justify paying that much for the ones I'm more hesitant on. Except, I don't know, maybe I should just drop it on Inshin because I am really curious about that one, as I've said already. On a more positive note, one thing I did like about this game more than the others is some of the rewards we get now for completing side quests. And you always got rewards, but here you get like Majima Construction employees, and you get like a lot of them too. Like this was something that kind of existed before, but it's at like a whole other level of, you know, these characters now being able to be used in side games and whatnot. And then another thing too is that they have it so you could have a special heat action when you're around this person in the city that you did the side quest for. You get a lot of them early. I don't think there's many late, which I guess I kind of wish they were spread out a little more. And I don't really know if they're necessarily viable. I don't like investing in upgrades that can only be used under very specific circumstances, but I do think it's a kind of fun idea